Good afternoon. This is the House Appropriations Committee. It is Friday, January 31st. Sorry, it's off the screen there. 2025. It is just after 2 o'clock, and we are going to try to finalize the language pieces for the Budget Adjustment Act with a goal of voting everything by 3:30, because we can get Rep. Kosenska on Zoom by Rep. 3:32. So then we'll have as many as we can available. But in the meantime, we have Katie with us from Ledge Council to talk about the GA emergency housing language that came. Aaron's reposting it on our committee page, but it also was in the committee letter from Human Services. So that's what I just pulled out to take a look at while we're taking a look. And I don't know if it makes sense to, maybe it makes sense to screen share. Sure. Since, yeah, okay, thank you.
Is Lynn joining us?
Is who?
Lynn.
I don't think she's going to be able to join us this afternoon. And she has the link. So. Aaron will be on. Okay. You might be a little confused.
You said it was posted.
You make a refresh here.
It is, the outlook is refreshed, yeah. Fine.
I'm in the process of reposting it. It's the
Okay.
This is the OEL and
This is, it was from the Human Services Committee letter and language that was attached. And so the one I have is dated 1/22/2025, draft 2.1. Does that make sense?
Yes.
We're literally on the same page. Let's start.
It is.
Okay, is everybody ready with that?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What did you say about the link issue, Aaron? Because it's not coming up.
You might just need to repost or refresh. Because I reposted a document that Grady sent me.
And also look on January 24th on our committee page and all the letters are there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Many ways to get there. Okay, let's start, Katie.
Okay.
Thank you.
Katie McGlynn, Office of Legislative Counsel. Good afternoon. So we have language in front of you that was proposed by the House Committee on Human Services as part of their BAA letter memo to you. As you can see, it's amending what is in the budget this year for GA emergency housing. The the package that's currently in place has an 80-day cap on, or maximum on, the use of hotels and motels outside of the cold weather season. So what this language does is it essentially is a workaround to not have applicable limits for the rest of the year by extending the cold weather season through the end of the fiscal year.
Through June 30th.
Yeah. But what you're seeing in subdivision B1, you can see there's language struck through. There are room caps. There were 2 periods where the available motel and hotel rooms would be capped at 1,100. We already had a period of that in the fall, and there is another period of room caps coming up in the spring because the cold weather season would be essentially extended. The room cap is also going away. So there wouldn't be that 1,100 room cap in the spring moving forward. It would be available.
So this one, we would just stop it at November 30th within the room cap, because after November 30th, we're on winter.
Yeah.
I don't want to say the right.
It's already
winter housing. So
right. I mean, we could strike the whole sentence, but it's already happened.
right.
So we're striking what will be happening
Right.
beginning April 1. So there would not be a room cap. And then here's the language I started with, which is the cold weather language. The department shall provide emergency housing to households meeting the eligibility criteria between December 1st, and instead of March 31st, it would extend it to June 30th. And then the next sentence is important. Emergency housing in a hotel or motel provided pursuant to this subdivision shall not count towards the maximum days of eligibility for the 12-month period. So that's the 80-day max.
And that's because we're still using the emergency winter housing rules.
You're just.
Criteria, whatever.
Yeah.
You're extending the period of housing for which there is no maximum.
Right. And the budget numbers that we got from Human Services of, 1.84 million assumes 1,425 rooms. So there's kind of a max because that's the most number of motel rooms that there might be. Okay, question, Brett Harris.
Okay, so I'm reading this, trying to understand it. First of all, we're taking away the 1,100 room cap. Okay, so what happens when there's demand for 2,000 rooms, but there's 1,000 rooms available?
Well, as your chair is just indicating, there's a sort of a natural cap in the fact that there's only so many rooms available in the system. So it's
But it says the department shall provide emergency winter housing. Meeting the eligibility criteria.
yeah, I think
Aren't we mandating the state to provide rooms regardless?
I'm gonna pull this down and look at the underlying budget. I believe subsection A says that to the extent funds and rooms are available, but I need to double check that.
And we have the actual history of what has been used, and it's ranged from 1,400 to 1,450. There haven't been any other rooms available, which is why not everybody's been able to be housed.
Can you help me again? What happened to the 80-day cap when we don't have the rules? So, are they gone from in May and June of this year?
I can help you. Hold on. I can only do one thing at a time. Is the problem. Let me pull up this language. Yes, so the lead-in language for this whole section, you have ellipses, so you're not seeing subsection A, but subsection A of the 321 in the budget says to the extent emergency housing is available and within the funds appropriated. So there's a natural limit there. And now you have a question about the 80 days?
Yes.
Okay. So right now, the way the program is structured is that households have a maximum of 80 days in a hotel or motel for this fiscal year. However, there's a freeze on that, on reaching that max during the cold weather months. So right now, even if a family had 80 days prior to the cold weather starting, they're not accumulating additional days during this period. What this language essentially does is it extends until the end of the fiscal year, the cold weather period.
So no 80.
Meaning that the cap isn't accumulating, the cap isn't applying right now.
Okay.
Rep Blooming?
No, I was just gonna clarify something, but it's already been clarified.
Okay. Great. So it's actually not a lot of language changes to accomplish this, and I was thinking it was a lot more. So do people understand what the language is saying? We're clear on it, Rep Brewer?
So what is the definition of the winter time period, do you know?
Right now, it's December 1st through March 31st. And the proposal in this language is to extend it to the end of the fiscal year.
So Katie's here to answer our questions so that we understand the language as opposed to, we will discuss the policy, but Katie's here for the language piece of it, so I just want to
I
make
know,
sure.
but she's in the witness chair, so.
That's okay, you're asking clarifying questions, but, so do we understand what is happening here? Any
Yeah.
questions on what is being said? So no more questions for Katie? We can let you go. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Dave, you didn't have any questions for Katie?
I'm okay, thank you.
Okay, great. Thanks, Dave. All right, thank you, Katie. Gonna finish up with a couple more language pieces. Let's see. Tom was gonna check Can you give us an update on what you were gonna check on, please?
I was checking on the change of the $7 million that was originally scheduled to go to BGAT. It was gonna be split into a $2 million appropriation to go to, Vita. And the 5 million was gonna stay in BGAT, and I've talked to Representative Marcotte, who is going to get back to me sometime this afternoon. They're talking with, they had a scheduled appointment with Vita this afternoon, so, he was making sure that the language that's in there is either standard or better language that allows Vita to have the authority to, use that money.
Okay. Great, so we should hear from him this afternoon, we hope.
Yeah, when we can, if we have another break or whatever,
Yeah.
we can
Okay,
just check to see, I'll check to see what time the Vita people are supposed to be at the, in committee.
great, thank you. And Tiff, you did some searching too.
Yes, the health committee, is fine with the $11 million. I'm calling it pretty standard procedure, every fiscal year, and so they're ready to sign off on that.
So that's the 11 million for the Brattleboro retreat.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody good with that?
Do I totally understand it?
Yeah. Did you have a question? You're good, all right. Dave, you're good with that?
Yep.
Okay, so Grady, we can leave that in. Okay, let me think, was there one other piece of, yes, the other items on the, associated with the 14 million, we had language for judiciary, we already talked about. I'm looking at Grady, right? We're done with that. We just talked about the cold weather. We already looked at the language for the Act 186 pilot for the disability housing, and we approved that. And for VHCB funding, we did not have language, but Grady suggested we use the language that was in the budget last year. And that, which is fine with the people that are involved with that. And does somebody want to read what that language is? I know we're going to get it, but you want to at least read it so we all know. You do that, please?
Yes. Grady Nixon, Joint Fiscal Office. So this reads that the appropriation will be to provide support and enhance capacity for the production and preservation of affordable mixed income rental housing homeownership units, including improvements to manufactured homes and communities, permanent homes and emergency shelter for those experiencing homelessness, recovery residencies and housing of farm workers, refugees, and individuals who are eligible to receive Medicaid funded home and community-based services. So that is the same language that was used in a one-time appropriation in Act 113, and I believe Vermont Housing and Conservation Board signed off on its use now.
So I know you don't have it in front of you to read, but does that
This is for
sound?
the
This is for the 8.6 million to VHCB, the standard sort of funding.
I can forward that to everybody if they would like that.
Yeah, one of you can, and we have it. But does that generally sound all right? People are good with that? Okay. Do we have any other language pieces?
There's one that isn't finalized yet, but I'll be presenting shortly.
Okay, that's on the childcare piece?
Yes.
Okay. And Emily, what do we think about the web report?
So it sounds like you just added a one-time appropriation to it. We gotta add that.
Okay, what-
Brattleboro
The Brattleboro retreat,
needs to get added into the work.
okay. And if we do the BGAP thing, does that have to get added in there too?
Yeah.
The 5
Yes.
million to,
But it's net neutral, but that
right,
will show up as a B1100 one time.
Right, it goes in the warrant report.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have to put it up, yes.
okay. The thing is, I don't want to hold up the web report.
Can we just note where it goes?
Can you know where it goes, or can we,
In the process?
do we have to wait till it's approved before it gets in the web report?
approved by,
us,
ideally, yeah.
because otherwise you have to take it out.
Even for a straw poll.
For a straw, if you straw poll it and you want it in the straw, poll, like if it's part of your straw poll construct, we put it in the web report.
Okay. What we don't know is we haven't heard from can you find out, Tom, when Commerce is meeting on the,
Yeah, I don't see the witness that he was talking about, but
okay,
I can pop up there.
yes, in fact, why don't we, because Grady, you need a few minutes to give us the childcare. So what's a good time? 2:30 to 2:30?
30 is fine.
Okay, let's break